Hello and welcome to the Keno's Club. You're now entering the Keno's Club. Today we're going to talk about Metatron's cube in relation to the mystery of the woman, i.e., also relating to New Jerusalem. You see, now all these things tie together. And when it comes to uh, the the Hebrew definition of the first woman, Eve. Now, the Hebrew definition of the first woman, Eve, is chava. Now, when it boils down to Java, there's many different variations that express different meanings and understandings of what this person, this entity, what this entity is, and what this entity is conveying, the meaning, the purpose of this entity. So Java is not just Java. It's not just a meaning life. It means life, but it's also a giver of life, as we understand that Eve is named Eve because she became the mother of all living beings. Now, also the mother of all living beings, the mother of all living things. As we'll talk about this, relates to Metatron's cube. Eve, Chava, relates to how things are created. You see, the mother of all things come through this conduit, this medium, this mechanism of creation. And it relates back to Metatron's cube, New Jerusalem, one and the same thing. Their cube is a star, relating to the five platonic solids that are building blocks of creation. So we would dive deep into the word Java, which is the first woman they gave for the name of Eve. It's not just meaning life, not just a person that gives life. As we understand, women have the capability to birth life, but it also relates to nourishing that life, nurturing that life to sustain and become something, the desired result. So it's not just ends with birthing that thing, the pre-process of bringing it about, the birthing process of it becoming a thing in the physical realm, and then continuing that maturation of growth of that thing, that it nourishes the mother, the woman, Metatron's cube, New Jerusalem, not just births reality, and the reality comes from that conduit, that vessel, that temple, but it also does the post process of nurturing, sustaining, growing, and bringing that thing into maturation, to the completed process, the completed actualization of what it's meant to be, the realization of its full potential. So the mother, the woman, Eve, New Jerusalem, as we understand in scripture, that when the angel shows John, the bride, the angel shows John a New Jerusalem. And we understand in the epistles that this woman from above is also referring to New Jerusalem, because New Jerusalem came from heaven, came from above. And we are born from above. So we're born from this city. That's why we're saying we're citizens of heaven. When you're born of Christ, you're born from the city, you're born through that mother, the woman from above, the woman of from the spirit of promise, the woman of promise, you see. Okay? So it not just means life. It doesn't just mean where life comes from and the birthing process, but it also means the maturation and the growth, the nurturing, the bringing it about to full realization of its full potential. So that relates to Metatron's cube. It relates to New Jerusalem as a epicenter of creation. But you are, as we talked about in the previous video, that that Christ in you is that doorway to heaven, that gateway. When people talk about that Eve is and the woman is a gateway to God, that there's a black hole, there's a womb. That womb, there's an abyss, and infinity is there. That of event horizon where all energy can flow through. You see, so your body is a temple, and the temple consists of the outer court, the most holy place, and the holy place. The most holy place is where that life comes from, where the birthing process comes from, and it flows out from your spirit to your soul, the holy place, to your body, the outer court, and that's where the physical reality comes to realization. So this gets real deeper, because when you look at the different variations of the word Java also relates to, as a different understanding of it, is that how are we bringing about this life? If you look at Strong's 2331, Java, it means to show, to tell, to declare, to express. So in the mechanism of bringing forth life, birthing, and also nurturing and causing it to come to maturation for potential of his entity, if his completed self, is through declaring, it's through telling, through speaking, it's through words, you see. Talking, declaring is also related to life-giving. As we understand in the beginning, where God created the world, he only spoke words. He declared, he told. Thing that was not, it became. And that also is related to Hebrew variations of Java. It relates to the Hebrew word Hava. Hava is relates to the when Moses asked, "What is your name?" and God said, "I am that I am." In the Hebrew, we have Hava, which means to become, to come to pass, to be. This relates to life giving. That the woman, New Jerusalem, Metatrons cube, this mechanism, epicenter of creation, causes life to come to pass, to be, to become. You see, it's through her, it's through the woman, it's through that vessel, New Jerusalem, this technology of creation, where life comes through that. Life is created through that, through the woman. The woman nourishes and nurtures that life into full maturation, to become what it is meant to be, from the seed to the actual full potential. Now, what's also interesting is that another variation of the Hava is Ava, Strong's 183. Now, that relates to desire, coveting, craving, longing. Now, this gets deep. It's because this was deep because when you talk about Adam and Eve, before there was Eve, there's Adam. God brought Eve out of Adam from his ribs. Okay, so we understand that what around your ribs, what's around your ribs is particularly relating to the heart. So God brought Adam's desires out of his heart and birthed it when he was submitted to God. When he fell asleep, God put him under a deep slumber. He submitted himself to God, and God brought the desires of his heart, the Ava, out of his heart and made it a real thing. He desired Adam. He needed a helpmate. He saw all these animals, and God saw the desires of his heart. That the one thing that he needed and wanted. It was in his heart. It was not created yet. God brought it out of his heart, from his side, and created it and named it Shava, the woman, Eve. Life, the giver of life, the birth of life, the nourisher, and the nurturing, completion, maturation of life. So God is able, and this is another aspect of manifestation, is that God creates physical things from your desires. God's able to bring the desires of your heart, which was Eve, which was the woman, relates to Avah. Avah in Hebrew means desire, longing, craving. God brought the desire of Adam's heart out, and it was Eve. It was the woman. She's Shava. She's Chava, you see. And that created a replication process of creating humans, more and more replications of Adam in his image, in his likeness. Okay, so another aspect of Eve, the woman, and how it relates to being a life-giving, a birthing mechanism and medium, is that a variation of that word Shava. Also, we can look at Strong's 2247 Chaba, okay, which means to withdraw, to hide, to conceal. Now, if you get into that, and you look at another variation, Jabab, Strong's word number 2245. It says to love. So it is one way that the woman, Eve, conceals, hides, makes secret in privacy. She nurtures and conceals and makes private what she births through love. It's through love that the woman is able to conceal and hide, to cause to be hidden that thing she births. When she loves over that thing, when she loves over the creation, you see. So tying all these things together in relation to Metatron's cube and New Jerusalem, and how it relates to manifestation. As a recap, Metatron's cube and New Jerusalem are two of the same thing. Metatron's cube is in the formation of a star. New Jerusalem is described in scripture as a cube, but in reality, it is a star because of the four sides and the four gates. When you have light coming out of those four gates, that actually forms a star. It forms a star. You see. And the reality in all life flows out of those gates, as reality and life flows out of New Jerusalem, which is you. Okay. So it relates to manifestation, that the woman was a conduit and a mechanism of manifestation. And she not just, life comes from her, she births life. This New Jerusalem, this bride, this city which is you. Another thing is that Chaba, another variation in Strong's, relates to a tent, a town. And when we see that in the tribes of Israel formation, this tent, the tent of God in the desert, where the tribes are surrounded by the tent. The tent is surrounded by the tribes. That was a community. That was a town, if you will. that whole mechanism, that whole heavenly representation of a earthly representation of a heavenly reality, which is the cherubim surrounding the throne. That is a town. That tent is as big as a town, you see. So it relates to you. You're a city. As big as you are, the human body, you are a city. The city of God lives in you, and you birth. You birth as Metatrons Cube, as New Jerusalem. You birth realities, life. And another interesting point is that the way we experience life, the expression and experience of life is through that woman. It's through that mechanism of creation. Through the nurturing and the nourishing of the thing that's created, it defines the experience of that reality. It defines the experience of that thing. So our reality we live in is defined by the nurturing and the nourishing of that particular woman. So depending on if it's the woman from above, New Jerusalem, or it's the bondwoman who's subjected to death. Right now, Babylon, people are experiencing life through the bondwoman. So their entire life is filled with death, disease, fear, destruction. Their expression, their experience of life is through the bondwoman, Babylon. So therefore they the center and the core of their the manifestation hub is not the light of Christ. It is death. It is the old man, the dead man. Whereas with New Jerusalem, the center is the new man. The pillar in the center of the city is the new man, which is Christ. So therefore, all of Christ, all of the world, the reality, this world is created through Christ, the Word. Therefore, you would get life and vitality and prosper and blessings because of the center is the new man, Christ. So that's where Adam, as a type, plays a role. Because Adam was supposed to be the leader. Adam is supposed to be the center, the one that's guiding and directing, and the woman. The woman births to the leadership, the head of the man. Whereas now in the world with Babylon, the woman, the bondwoman, births to the leadership and the guidance of the old man, to the leadership and guidance of the principality of the air, the devil, the wicked rulers. This current world, the reason why we're not seeing heaven on earth is because what is being birthed is birthed through the bondwoman. But when more and more of humanity is birthing through the woman from above, then you get heaven on earth. You have Christ birthing through that mechanism, that his life will be flowing through the river of fire, will be flowing through that city from the four gates, and it's reflected and refracted from the foundation stones and the precious gems, which represent the tribes of Israel and the apostles. This is that cloud of witnesses. So we're able to reflect and refract the experiences, the revelation and knowledge of the tribes of Israel and the apostles. Their ancient wisdom will be refracting and reflecting through our being, till we create through them. We create as we create aspects of that gem, aspects of that precious stone, you see. But at the core, in the center, the main light is Christ that we're reflecting and refracting and channeling through to superimpose that same reality of heaven upon the earth. You see. Another thing is that the woman also she brings revelation, knowledge, understanding. This expression. This is expression. This birthing process is the expression of life. And that revelation comes from that womb, that abyss, that endlessness, infinite point, and all that revelation comes from that womb in the woman. And when I refer to the woman, I'm generally referring to New Jerusalem. And it relates to Metatrons Cube as the epicenter of creation, which you're a body, you're an embodiment of Metatrons Cube, you're an embodiment of New Jerusalem. God comes to live in you. He's made you his habitation, which is New Jerusalem is the habitation of God. You see. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.